Hillary Clinton is running for president. No, I'm not breaking news. She hasn't filed the paperwork for an exploratory committee, but you do have to look at what she is doing. Yes, I know that back in January, she told a group of auto dealers that running for president wasn't even on her mind.
I'm not thinking about it. I try to get other people not to think about it. I'll think about it, in the future sometime. But right now, let's deal with what we have to do to continue building on our success.
And then in early April, it seemed her thinking, or at least what she was thinking about, had in fact changed.
And I am thinking about it, but I'm going to continue to think about it for a while.
Right? With all of this thinking, it seems best to concentrate on what Secretary Clinton is in fact doing. And as we do that, it sure looks like the former Secretary of State, U.S. Senator, and First Lady's campaign is about to begin. First thing, the task seemingly required of every contender for the Oval Office, she has a new book. It has a very campaigny title, too. Hard Choices. Then, of course, the book tour to promote it, which even has 2 stops in Canada. But the big stop will happen early next month in front of ABC's cameras. Secretary Clinton will sit down with Diane Sawyer for an hour-long interview special, which will air on June 9th. And then Robin Roberts gets the first live interview about her book on June 10th on Good Morning America. That's also the day the book comes out. The Super PAC, Ready for Hillary, is already making plans to sign up supporters through appearances for the book. So, while she may just be thinking about it, she's got the book, the multi-city tour, the high-profile media showcase, volunteers with clipboards, ready. It may or may not be a campaign, but it kind of looks like it. Of course, at this point in the cycle, if you are thinking of running for president, there are key signifiers of your intent. Are you hanging out in Iowa and New Hampshire so often that you don't even need a map? Are you taking private meetings with big political donors and bundlers? And are you out and about helping to raise money for other politicians whose support you may just be needing down the road? Right around this time, 2 presidential cycles ago, in 2006, Hillary Clinton was also the very early frontrunner for the Democratic presidential nomination by a lot. According to the Gallup poll from June of that year, she led this list of contenders by 20 points or more among Democrats. A list of other potential candidates not named Barack Obama. Yes, at this point in the cycle, the last time around for Clinton, her biggest challenger, the candidate who would go on to defeat her and become president, wasn't even on the list. And if past this prologue, we know that should Secretary Clinton run again, she will not be running alone, even if we don't yet know who it is who was going to run against her. So joining our panel now is Roll Call Editor-in-Chief Christina Bellantoni. Is it fair? Is Hillary Clinton currently running for office?
Sure. Nothing gave me more evidence to that point than her camp's reaction to what Karl Rove said about her and her mishap, because they came out so forcefully against it. They had not only a statement on the record pushing back, but they also sent Bill Clinton out there. I mean, this was something they were deeply offended by it, and they were ready to engage. But what's also really interesting is the types of things she's doing. That interview with Diane Sawyer, talking to Robin Roberts, those are no accident. They're going to be talking about her being a woman, what it means to be a female in this role, because that's one of the mistakes that her team knows that she made in 2008. She didn't really allow that side of herself, which is actually a very strong part of herself, to shine through. And so I would not be surprised at all that a lot of the warmth and motherhood and now grandmotherhood to be is going to come out.
Right, these things that some have suggested might be problems for her, that she's going to try to turn them into strengths. And yet, Liz, we got to deal with the inevitability discourse, because the last time she was inevitably inevitable, not so much.
Well, that's because I think she didn't play up exactly what we're talking about here. 10 million more women than men voted in the last election. As she said in her I'm turning this over to Barack Obama speech, I broke 18 million glass ceilings. And there has to be an excitement narrative with her if she's going to do this, is that she needs to get women energized, because women and people of color are still going to decide who's the next president and who. So what does that mean?
Okay, so Raul, I love what Liz just said, because this was just where I want to come. Democrats win in the general election for the presidency when they don't pick the inevitable candidate for the nomination. So Jimmy Carter,
right,
the first time, Bill Clinton in the first time, someone we didn't expect, and of course Barack Obama. when Democrats pick the next person in line, when they pick this Al Gore, John Kerry, it doesn't go so well. So if you're going to gin up the excitement to get out that big Democratic base, is reaching back to the 1990s the best way to get that excitement?
Well, see, that's Hillary's challenge. Nobody likes being told who's going to be the president or who's going to be the nominee. That's why the whole inevitability narrative was so disastrous. People resented being told what the outcome is going to be. And I think that many of her so-called negatives at this point can be flipped to positives if she is able to show a new side of herself. And like as you said, there is a whole personal side to her that most people have not yet seen. And so
come on,
no,
there is some side to Hillary Clinton that in the past 25 years I have not seen.
Robin Roberts excels at those empathetic interviews.
If I could, she loves kale.
Yeah, what new piece of information?
Hillary is not done.
If I could paraphrase a certain song, don't stop thinking about 20 years ago. I mean, it is kind of bizarre that they are, since presidential elections in particular are usually thought about in terms of what the future, that the strongest hand that Hillary has, along with her partnership with Bill, is the good times of the of the 1990s. But to Christina's point, there was another great signal this week to show that she is definitely running, and that was when she sent the signal out to the Democrats that she wanted Democrat members on the Benghazi panel.
Yeah.
Partly to in a sense get her message, get the Democratic message out about what she did in terms of a leadership role, because I think she realizes regardless of what people think about Benghazi, whether it's politically motivated or not, she realizes that it could be a possible danger to her campaign.
So, Christina, I want to say some other names and see whether or not we have any more enthusiasm or excitement. Maybe y'all are all perfectly enthusiastic. I'm just having a 90s flashback moment here. Okay.
Oh, the Republicans are enthusiastic.
Yeah, no, I know. Republicans can't wait for this. All right, how about Joe Biden?
We're waiting for
Are we writing off Uncle Joe?
No, and I would say Joe Biden's camp is actually signaling more and more that he does want to run. Just look at how they're stepping up his social media activity. They're trying to build this cool following.
Yeah, you saw him with the sunglasses.
Also not an accident. But really, these elections, these are about alternatives. So in 2008, the Democrats were very afraid that they weren't going to be able to reclaim the Bush White House. And so they were worried that, Hillary could be a drag on the down ticket or whatever. And they had an alternative in Barack Obama who could similarly raise the giant money, could excite the base, could excite young people, all of those things. I don't see that in any of the people that are considering running against Hillary Clinton.
That Martin O'Malley fire?
Yeah, I was like Martin O'Malley, Deval Patrick, none of that.
Right.
The rock star thing works.
Elizabeth Warren.
Schweitzer synergy.
Okay, all right. So let's talk Elizabeth Warren, because this is the narrative that tends to emerge as the Hillary alternative.
Right, but Elizabeth Warren, she fires up the progressive base. She has fantastic ideas. She's the only person out there who was bold enough to talk about increasing funding for things like Social Security, Medicare. That is what liberals and so many progressives are yearning for. So she has these fantastic ideas. But I think the two drawbacks at this point is she's still saying she's not going to run. And also is that her portfolio, her resume is largely centered around being a consumer watchdog and income inequality on so many other issues, like how would she negotiate with China? How would she deal with the Middle East? All those issues, that's a big question mark. And I think the time is now. If she's going to
not at all unlike
herself,
the guy that had just been state senator 2 years before.
But her time is now to be moving into those issues if she's going to do it.
She is the Hillary Clinton of what happened in 2004. Hillary Clinton had a choice. She could have run for president then. She decided not to. She allowed the other candidates to sort of feel it out. You're running against an incumbent president. So Elizabeth Warren can wait, see if the Democrats reclaim the White House. She has plenty of time. The thing is, Hillary Clinton is not going to go unchallenged. Bernie Sanders.
But look, Christina, I got to tell you though, Christina, what you just said is my main angst with Hillary Clinton. Because in 2004, when her party needed her, she chose not to run against the incumbent, and she waited. And I don't know, for me, that what felt like that act of lack of political courage I'm not sure I can get over it. Okay, we got more. Y'all don't go anywhere. Just stay right there. We're gonna say more words as soon as we come back. I promise.